Internet connection. Oh, here we are. Now we're live. Yay! Hello, everyone. Hello, Facebook friends. How's everyone doing today? So it is Wisdom Wednesdays because we're going to make ourselves wise and you wise just by sharing lots of good information. I have a lot of good friends that do similar work, but we focus on, changing lives, impacting lives in different ways. So today I want you to meet, I could introduce her, but you know what? She'll do a much better job than me. So Jennifer Maxwell, yay!
Yay! Cheer for yourself.
Oh, Jennifer.
Thanks, Liz. It's so nice to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Jennifer.
Okay, well, there's a lot to say. How can I sum this up? Well, I work in the communications area. I really believe in the importance of deep rapport and connection with people, and it's really how I built my business. In my previous business, I was a wedding planner, and I did that for about a decade. And there's a lot of high stress, but I actually always had really great clients. I think I had like one bridezilla, and I wouldn't even call her that. So I learned how to really navigate many different personalities and how people showed up under high pressure, because, although a wedding day is supposed to be one of the happiest days of your lives, there's a lot of pressure to get to that point with, the amount of budget people are spending, and there's emotion that are tied to it, and, parents and friends, and, oh, you hired a wedding planner. I thought I was your best friend. Not the same thing, so there's these kinds of things that really kind of got me using the DISC personality profiles, and it was a game changer. So my goal now is to help solopreneurs that are really wearing a lot of hats, because as solopreneurs, you think you get this business started just because you have a great, product or service to offer, and then you realize, oh, I have to do all the accounting and the marketing, and then I got to, deliver, and I have what? And I got it. It's like, it's too much. And so a lot of the, what I found, and if you're a solopreneur or entrepreneur, that sales and marketing is like 80% of what we do. And that is not what I signed up for. I'm like, how did I get here? Right?
Yeah. So, I'll have a story for you later when you introduce us to my wedding story. And then we could see where that fits.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now what I do actually is help solopreneurs gain more clarity around their conversations and connections, so they can close more deals and really become the one that everyone loves to buy from. And the reason that's important, if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we all have that. If we go back to high school, right? The base needs, we got food, we got shelter, we got clothing. And then as you kind of move up, there's all these other important connections that matter. Things like community, relationships, love. And then at the top is like self-actualization. So when you speak about connecting with your clientele on that deeper level, it really does introduce a level of connection and rapport that doesn't sometimes exist. And if you don't have that, you can't make those sales, because that's what people are buying. They're buying your product and service to fill one of those needs. And usually it's somewhere up higher. Most of the time people are, unless you work at a grocery store, you're going for higher level in that hierarchy of needs. So that rapport needs to be that much deeper. That's a little bit about me. Wow, I kind of just jumped.
Oh, no, that's okay. So what I'm thinking is that I think what would really help solopreneurs too, and I know we're going to talk about the workshop that you've got coming up in a little while called, I love the title, by the way, Nail the Sale.
Thank
you.
And
I know you did something in Staples towards it as well, right? So I think what it's really important, and hopefully maybe I'm going to help understand DISC a little bit better with you in terms of mindset, because I think that's where it's really important too. You're going to talk about Nail the Sale, how it really helps so that you're talking to a particular, DISC personality. Yeah. And so you'll understand them better and they understand you. But also, from a psychological point of view, I know which type I am going to be. And so if somebody comes at me with a lot of facts and figures and orders and sequence, my brain's going to go into,
yeah. No, thanks.
Yeah. No, thanks, right? Yeah. So there's a different, so when people come to me with more of, let's build a relationship, isn't the sky beautiful blue today? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just melt. I was like, okay, I'll buy. Right?
Yes, and that's the thing, and here's what I wanna be clear about, though. It's not about manipulating. I don't
No.
no, it's really just, like, what is somebody interested in, and how would you speak to them in that way? And so, one of the things I talk about, if you understand DISC, and I'll share the chart, is you would never talk to Mr. Rogers the same way you talk to Kevin O'Leary. It's the same thing. We already are naturally doing this already. We have that internal antenna and that intuitive nature. DISC just gives it a framework to kind of hang some of the facts and details on, so you actually can be intentional about your conversation. So that's the beauty of it. And there's a ton of great metrics out there. Like there's Myers-Briggs, and there's, Strength Finder, which I love.
I do personality dimensions, which
Right?
is yeah.
Yeah, so there's anything that works for you is great. What I found about some of the other ones, though, is it's very me focused, like, oh, all about me, 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 which is great, but that doesn't help you. It'd be like saying to a client, I'd really love to serve you, but if you could just send me a copy of your Myers-Briggs first, then I'll really be able to help. Like, you could just never do that, right? It's our job to be quick on our feet and understand, who am I dealing with? And when you can get somebody and make someone feel like you get them, that's where they're like, take my money all day long. And so you really serve them at their level. So, yeah.
It's manipulative at all. I know.
No.
No, I embrace sales, and maybe you probably help people with that too. Is people think sales is like, knocking door to door, vacuum cleaner. What? No, we are out there as salespeople because we have a service like you do. You want to impact salespeople so they can nail the sale right away, right? So that they can be the one to turn to buy from. I mean, that's the whole premise, right? And
Yeah.
so it's a service that you're providing, that each and every salesperson is really, you look at it as, how can I help someone today?
Yeah.
Not how am I going to get the sale, right?
You're thinking money, money, money. You're doing the wrong thing. It's really being that trusted advisor. And the only way you become a trusted advisor is by being trustworthy. And you become trustworthy in different ways. And this is critical. So I'm just going to actually show people how the DISC personality works, if that's okay. So I'm just going to share this so that we don't worry about our screen share. Okay, let's see if we can get it. So there's really only two questions that people need to ask. And it is, are you outgoing, or are you reserved? And you may be a bit of both. That's fine. We all have those traits throughout the day. And right, yeah, from moment to moment, sometimes, and under pressure, it's worse. And the other question is, are you more people focused, or are you more task focused? And here's the difference. And this is where the biggest challenge comes with. I'll come back to that. Whether you're outgoing or reserved is a little less relevant. It's about 10% of the conflict. But the real conflict comes in whether someone is task-focused or people-focused. And a task person would go to bed at night thinking about all the lists of things. Did I get this done? Yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh, I forgot I didn't get that thing done. And now I'm gonna make sure you pull out your phone and you make a little note or whatever you do so that you don't forget, so you can get it done the next day because you are a doer, a task person. You like that. A people person would go to bed at night and maybe you'd watch the news and you're skipping past the finance and all. You want to get those special interest stories. Did they get the cat out of the tree? Did we, all those things, and right? And you're thinking about, I think about a friend of mine whose mother's in the hospital right now. And it's I think about these things throughout the day. And so where your mind is going is a really good indicator whether you're more people focused or task focused. And consequently, this is where the conflict comes. So imagine if you're a task focused parent and you have a people focused child and you're just get it done. If you just spent 20 minutes right now, you could get it done. You're come on. And they're oh, homework, yay. Could we have cookies and milk with that? I love spending time with you. And so when you're get it done, that they're this isn't fun. I don't it doesn't feel nice. And so the difference of knowing who approaches things and how can help you determine the best way to communicate. So you can really, okay, so here's the thing that I'm really all about. affirming people and celebrating them. And that, if you can affirm people, everybody wants to be affirmed, whether they're task focused or people focused. And if you could just do that one thing well, that is like a huge gateway to relatedness and connection with people and that relationship. And so this helps you really figure out, how do I relate to them? How do I affirm them? So if you're outgoing and task focused, and I would say most solopreneurs are, and entrepreneurs, they're somewhere, they usually have one or two of the outgoing quadrants. So they tend to be Ds if you're outgoing and task focused. And that means a little bit, so that's the dominant trait. So you're direct, a little demanding. Sometimes you forget to say please. You just like, give me that thing, right? And then just because they want to get it done. Decisive, determined, and doer. So these are some critical things to notice about yourself. So that's, that's just how you're built. And these make up about 10% of the population. So these are massive strivers, and they do huge things in the world. And it's sort of like there's a lot of these are our chief people, our CEOs, and they need all the other quadrants to really support them. And these are about 10%, which means 90% of the population falls in here. And it means you can also offend 90% of the population. So it's like, if you just knew that, then you could.
Everybody's afraid of CEOs and organizations then.
We don't need to be. We just need to, like the Ds need to figure out, how do I say this in a way that people can hear it? And then everybody else needs to be like, they don't mean it that way. They're just trying to get things done. So it goes both ways. Now, if you're outgoing and people focused, you would be in the I quadrant. So you're inspiring. You're also influencing, a little impressionable, interactive, impressive, interesting. So these are usually our entertainers in the world. So think like Kevin O'Leary might be a great example of a high D. And then anybody who's, Oprah would, or I would say actually Oprah's an ID blend. You don't get to where you're at without being driven, right? So that is definitely there. But any entertainer is usually in our, like, they don't mind, like Jim Carrey, like the faces of Jim Carrey, very expressive, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Moving down to our people and reserved side is our S quadrant. They're very, very supportive. So think Mr. Rogers, right? Gandhi, Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
What's that?
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Yes, yeah. I'm so glad you're my neighbor, right? Why don't you be my neighbor? So they're steady, supportive, sensitive. They like the status quo. They're stable, and they're a little bit shy. So that's how you notice they are happy to serve and serve and serve, but they prefer to be in the background. These guys are like, yeah, I want an award. I'll take the mic. These people are like, oh, please don't call me up. Not no, I wasn't ready. So and then on the other side, then we have on the reserved and task side is our C quadrant, or the cautious type. They're calculating, competent, conscientious, contemplative, careful. So you see all the words match. So that will be a good reminder. And a good example of this might be Captain Sully. Do you remember about 10 years ago, Miracle on the Hudson, when the plane took off from LaGuardia Airport about 10 minutes in, a flock of Canadian geese blew out both engines, and he had to land that plane, and he had to land it like perfectly on the water. You go, oh, little cartwheel crash, everybody dies. So like high stakes, and the high seas have an ability to hold a ton of information and data that they can recall. So surgeons, lawyers, pilots, like they just are like data driven. So once we get that, now we can talk a little bit about mindset, because when you know who you are and who perhaps you're dealing with, this can be for you, work for you, and also work against you. I'm gonna take a sip of water. I've been like talking.
No worries. I'll chime in there.
Yeah.
And one of the thing is that while you take your sip of water is, I like to make fun of myself and say that, sometimes I'm confused because I can see aspects of each color. Whatever I need at what time. So that's why I said I'm confused, because I think most of the time I'm an IS, but I definitely have qualities of the D and C. And, when you talked about wedding, and it brought me, I don't know why, I just started remembering that, I had itinerary for everybody, right? And that's typically not me, right? But I had an itinerary for the limo driver. I had an itinerary for everybody. You know, I made sure everything was planned. Now, the day of the wedding, I woke up in the morning and I thought, okay, you know, you hear all these wedding horror
Yeah.
stories if something goes wrong. So I said, okay, if something goes wrong, it goes wrong. Not much
Yeah.
to do. So we were in the limousine and we were sitting in the limousine and we were early. And so everybody said, you know, can we do a drive-through, right? So everybody wanted to drive through pop. And then those, you know, they had those flimsy little cups, right?
No.
So I set mine down in the cup holder at the door handle, right? And I think I was traveling backwards, so I had my back to the driver, right? And my nephew says, oh, where are we? Are we close to the church? So I guess I turned around to see where we were and to just let him know, you know, we're about 5 minutes away. And as soon as I turned back, I knocked Pepsi all over my dress, right? Now I stayed calm though. Everybody else is freaking out in the limo, right? And I'm just like, excuse me, can we stop at a gas station so I can check the damage in my dress, right? So
Oh.
we stop at the gas station and somebody says, you know, what's going on? And the limo driver says, oh, they're getting married in the bays, right? It was so funny. And so we go to the washroom and we're trying to, there's nothing we could do. It just kind of beat it off. But so, and I'm thinking, okay, so what does that mean, right? Because I'm organizing everybody. I'm calm in the situation, right? So I don't know, where would that fit? Like that kind of situation.
Yeah, well, you know, it's interesting that we have our natural way of being, how we kind of go through life on a weekend when there's no pressure, and then there's how we behave under pressure. So you may slip into what seems to be an S quadrant. Sorry, an
Yes.
S quadrant.
Yeah.
In the
Okay.
same way,
On to
under
you.
pressure, I go extremely service focused and also very, very steady. I'm just going to take a drink.
Ah.
So this calm comes over you and you can think clearly and strategically, and you're like, okay, and you can kind of map things out very calmly so that you may go there under pressure, but naturally you may be fast moving, you may be kind of getting things done, but under that moment you're like, no, okay, let me just be strategic about how this is going to go. So that's possibly where you went because you planned everything. There's nothing you could do. You didn't go to an extreme like, oh my God, everything's wrong. You just kind of, okay, let's just get to it. So yeah, you could be a level blend, but I think naturally you seem to me to be like an ID blend. But
It's inspiring a lot from people. Like even this morning when I had 2 calls this morning, they said, you're so inspiring. And I'm like, what did I do? Like, you know, probably just natural, right?
yeah, for sure. And that, I think it's why people are drawn to you is that because that usually eyes are very inspiring. That's why everybody loves to watch the entertainers because they're entertaining and they're funny and they're inspiring. I would say again, Oprah would be like an ID blend. Very inspiring, people focused. She's got a lot of energy. And then when the camera goes off, apparently she, you know, she's like, I change into my after school clothes, and you don't get to be where you are without, you know, okay, who's doing what? Delegate. Let's get this thing, and what's the plan? And we're gonna do.
So
So
the like for my wedding when I did the itinerary for everybody, would that be the doer?
it could be S and C. So I am like you. I was very organized and because methodical, really like we don't want any surprises. So if you plan in advance, you are it's methodical and in over here, if you're doing itinerary, it's very calculating. So you know exactly what you're doing and everybody's got a plan, which is why I was also very successful in that. Come the wedding day, you know, I was a little bit of a social convener, but I was always here and I hired people to do the things that are, you know, they're not difficult, setting out place cards and that kind of thing. But I've been working with everybody for so long. You don't throw somebody new into the mix and have them take care of the couple. No, you have to show up and say, how are you, Mrs. Smith? You look amazing. Can I get you a glass of wine? You know, because I had planned all of it. It was getting handled. I knew exactly who was showing up at the dock when they were loading in and the order everybody was coming, because that's a day you don't want surprises unless they're good ones and I need to know about them in advance. Okay. So no surprises. Surprise for the couple, no surprises for me. So, you know, that's again, and knowing who you are makes you really powerful in the work you do. That's why having a sense of understanding and how to manage people that come at you. So imagine, you know, under pressure on a wedding, people that are having anxiety or, any of those kinds of things. So if you're so calm in your wedding, that's like, okay, so she's got this. Okay, so we're just going to organize everybody else away from her because they're hysterical. Liz is calm. We don't, not that they were, but you know what I'm saying? So you can, as a,
They were like, oh my God, the dress. And I'm like, right, like, what are you going to do?
what are you going to do? Yeah.
Well, thanks for that, because I've been wondering about that for the last 26 years. Like, does that fit me? Because I've seen confused, like, because I'm definitely not usually an organized person. I'm definitely a doer a lot of times. I like to get things done.
Yeah.
Right. But I definitely am more, so that kind of clears it up for me, because I've often wondered I was maybe just confused. But I guess that just shows that we can be a blend of all the colors, right?
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
all one of all four. Just a matter of where do you kind of land most naturally, and then and everything kind of just falls into place after that. And the beauty of it is knowing what you're not like. Like if you're typically live up here, this is probably your weakest quadrant. And so this is the area where you could build some muscle. And knowing that is really helpful. And either you build it, which is key, right? Or you hire for it. So that's really good to know. And on that note, let's just talk about this. So when you're meeting your clients, and just take a stock of yourself right now, because I don't know if people have any clients on here or whatever, but you're obviously, people are thinking of themselves. Talking about mindset is understanding what you want. So the key thing that most D personalities want in life, and this is key for closing the deal, is that most Ds want results. They want to achieve big things. And so if you know that, you will tailor your sales pitch, if you will, to serve that need. So you don't be wishy-washy. Say, this product is going to give you this, this, and that, and it's this price. And they'll be like, okay, that's great. So if you're an S personality, this is the most challenging quadrant, because Ds can seem scary. They're not. They actually just want an equal sparring partner. So you have to show up like confident. And if you're not, you got to pretend you're confident. You got to put your big girl panties on. And that was really hard for me, because this is my smallest quadrant. I have like 17% here. It's not high at all.
Not results oriented at all. Yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, I have to learn to think that way. Like, they're very goal focused. My husband will come in and say, what are your goals? And I'm like,
Goal?
Ask me what is the meaning of life. Like,
yeah.
What do you mean? Like today, like right now, like for dinner?
Yeah.
Summer, like I need some ballpark around, like frame what do you mean, Whereas if you ask me, how are we going to get this thing done? That's another word, how. S is like, oh, well, this is how that's going to happen. These people are what people, and these people are how people. These people are who's going to be there? Who will see me? Who else uses this product? And C's are why would I use that? Why is this important? So knowing all that matters. So back to like mindset. So if you're very results focused and you're interested in getting a lot of accomplishment happening in your life, the downfall you might, or the wall you might run into, is the feeling of like failure. I'm not achieving or accomplishing. And especially right now during a pandemic, I know at the beginning, a lot of Ds, first of all, they were like loving it, right? Like, nobody's bugging me. I can get all the things done. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I actually need some people to get the things done, and I can't see anybody. And so there was, everybody kind of went through all of the stages of that. So knowing that you're not failing, like that's like the mind. So your strength is getting things done. That's your superpower. And taking it too far, you're like, if you can't get it done, then you feel like a failure. And so knowing that is an opportunity to shift how you see yourself and see others, because you tend to judge people on the same format that you judge yourself. If they're not accomplishing, well, then they're not worth having around. Like, oh no, it's like what is that Einstein that said? If you go a whole life, what's it? A fish. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll go its whole life thinking it's stupid. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fish aren't meant to climb trees.
No, really?
Right. So we need to judge people, if you will, or based on where their strengths are. These D is love to accomplish and achieve. They want to climb the mountain. S's, not so much. We're like, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. So knowing that is really key. Eyes, on the other hand, they really their kind of goal is to be admired almost. It sounds airy, and I don't mean it like that, but they really just bring so much positive energy to the space. They really they are the life of the party, and they are naturally that way. And so sometimes when they take it too far,
Mhm.
they live in the space of people. That's how they lead, is in the middle. Everyone come along. Martin Luther King, we will do this together. This is a joint effort. And especially in this day and age with so much social media, we can fall into the trap of comparison. Like, oh, this person has like 2 million followers and I have 150. What's wrong with me? Aren't I important and special? And so knowing that Instagram isn't the be all and end all, and that's not where you need to get your affirmations about how much people love you, for example. So paying attention to those indicators that Instagram isn't everything.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
S's. No,
S's, S's.
curious about the S's.
Okay, so S's are our supportive type. And the thing about S's is they are very like the biggest givers. Like they really just they're the greatest servants. So think of Mother Teresa or Gandhi, uh, Lady Diana, for example. Like you can just have a heart to serve. And they are like workhorses. They will work themselves into the ground for whatever is required. And on the flip side, they will also be self-sacrificing to the point where, when the airline attendant says, please administer your own oxygen mask before assisting others. Was it designed for a high S? Because they'd be like, at least I saved 8 people before I died. I forgot to apply my own oxygen mask. And so,
Oh God, that's so funny. Yeah, that's a good way to show us though. I love that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've got a dear friend who actually had a stroke,
Oh,
and she just, I think it was mild enough, thank goodness, but I think she waited many hours, like the next day before she finally went to the hospital. And I was like, because it's like, oh, I don't want to inconvenience anybody. I don't want to, it's probably nothing. I'm probably fine. So these kinds of thoughts I don't want to inconvenience anybody. Meanwhile, oh my God, like,
myself kind of thing, or what would their like fear? Do they have a fear or what would their limiting belief be? I wonder.
not so much a fear as I don't want to inconvenience anyone. Like I
Or
don't want
like,
to,
yeah.
it's not like unworthiness. It's not like so much as I don't want to be a burden.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, I'll take it to an extreme as well. I think anybody, if we're going to talk about something like suicide, for example, now we're going to an extreme topic here, but, you know, I would, any of these personalities can feel that way, but I would think even people in here, like, I just can't ask for help again. I
Mm.
can't be a burden. I can't ask so much of people to listen and to take care of me, because I take care of people and I know how hard it is, and I don't want to put that on people.
That's just a lot of light. No, because I actually, when I was 18, called the suicide hotline because I knew there was something wrong with my thinking, right? But I think
Yeah.
that's what it was. I was feeling like, yeah. And now when you brought that up, I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And then once again, when I was 56, so about 6 years ago, so that makes a lot of sense. But I did stop it was a thought, but I thought, okay, there's something wrong with my thinking. Like if I'm thinking suicidal, like I didn't have, right, well, I did think that what would happen if I put the pedal to the metal, right? But you're right. It wasn't so much a burden. It's just like, I just felt like I was helping my mom. Like I was just stretched so thin that I
Yeah.
lost track of who I was, and I couldn't do it anymore. That's the point.
Yeah, and S's do get into overwhelm. That
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's too much. I can't
Can't
like
take this anymore.
can't take on anymore. I've cooked meals for people sick across the street. I've helped out at my kids' school. I stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning because I can't ask my spouse to cook dinner because, well, that wouldn't be very supportive. And so I'm just gonna, not sleep. And then I'll sleep on the couch because I don't want to disturb them when I get into bed. And right?
Exactly. That's
Yes.
so me.
Yeah.
Not
And
anymore.
yeah, not anymore.
Oh,
And
I
so
learned. Yeah.
yeah, so this is powerful to know this because then it can make you go, huh. And I've even had to say to my husband, I was like, listen, I'm feeling this way. And I know that you're not thinking that, but I need you to know I'm thinking this. And so I'm going to sleep on the couch. And he's like, good God, woman, what's wrong with you? Because he doesn't think that way. But I'm like, I'm really noticing that I don't want to disturb anybody and I need to shower and I need to do these things and I don't have enough time. And so it's going to cut into your sleep. And that would upset me if you didn't get your sleep. So I'm going to sleep on the couch. And he's like, just come to bed. So
I get all that. Yeah.
yeah, so having that dialogue is really key because your partners probably are opposite to you and they're not even thinking like that. So you should just say what you're thinking. They'll be like, you're just being ridiculous. Come to bed. It's fine. If you wake me up, who cares? I can get back to sleep really easily or whatever the case may be. So check in with people if you're feeling like that. And eyes as well. Because eyes are such high energy, they're often like they have the ability to bounce back the most, but eyes can also crash the most because we're so people focused. That energy is there, and it also eyes have a tendency to become depressed as well. But then something great happens, and they're back, and you're like, wow, it was like a light switch. So knowing that is critical. Now over to our C personalities. So C's are thorough and accurate. They have long game and deep, deep vision. And so they really like to be right. They are great researchers. If you ever want to know if this is the right product, they are the ones to research the heck out of anything. Ask them. They'll tell you why things are really, really, this is the right product to use, for example. They have pages and pages. What can happen for a high C when going too far is like analysis paralysis. So they're perfectionists. So like I couldn't possibly, put that product out on the market because it's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? Sometimes done is better than perfect. And so just throw it out there and you can tweak as you go. And so the mindset might just be like they don't pull the trigger on things because there could be something they didn't know or learn yet or another stone left unturned. And so what can happen is not taking action. And the key is always take action. And then if you need to course correct, you can do that as you go. So that's true for anybody. Just take action. Really, really, right?
Do it, yeah. So tell us a little bit about, you've got this workshop we talked a bit about called Nail the Sale coming up. When is it?
Well, it's on now. It's open. The card is open. It's live. It is a do at your own pace video course, and I try to make it like micro learning. So you can do as many videos as you like, or as many or as few as you like. They're around 4 to 5 minutes a piece. Some are longer, 9, 12. Some are 2 minutes, but really about 4 or 5 minutes so that you can quickly get to some information, kind of absorb it, digest it, and then make it work for you and then start using it right away. So the first part of the course is really designed to help you notice the clues for all of the 4 quadrants. And there are many, and they're subtle and they're obvious. And once you see them, you can never unsee them. So things like, what does somebody wear? What does a high I personality wear? What does a D wear? What does an S wear? What does a C wear? You can tell that when you're, first of all, when you're face to face, if you're having a coffee meeting, but virtually how they show up. Do they have a lot of dangles? Are they wearing sparkles at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Zoom call? You'll know where they land by understanding that. You'll see their face. You listen to the questions they ask and the certain words that they use. So once you get all the clues, and they're pretty easy to figure out, like when Kramer walks into a room, right? You know what you're getting. It's the same thing. You just kind of learn to follow the clues. And then Yeah, once you get the clues, then it's like, okay, now how do I apply this? And you start hanging that framework on how would I tailor my sales approach to a high D. As an S, it was really difficult and challenging to deal with the D's at first when I was sort of learning this, because the D's felt kind of scary because they're like, well, what am I going to get for my money? Ugh. Well, let me talk to you for 20 minutes about it. Nope, you lost. You have to know really quickly what it is, and you get to be very good at your marketing. And this is going to help you strengthen your messaging. If you can't say for sure, you're going to learn how to speak to your new client. You're going to know how to identify them quickly. And because of that, you're going to close 90% of the time.
Woo!
Okay, now I know what I'm going to get, right? So that's the kind of thing, is just learning how to understand that. So
Let's nail the sale.
nail the sale. And it's in beta testing right now because I'm still tweaking and adding. So I need beta testers, and it's like super affordable at like $27. My friends were like, what? It's too cheap. I'm like, I really just need feedback. So if this is of interest, I think I've got close to 30 videos up already, but there's more to come. So please, if this is of interest, I would love your feedback. And yeah.
So everybody connect with Jennifer. We've got it going across in case you've been wondering what that is. And there you go, www.jennifermaxwell.ca/nail the sale.
Nail the sale. You too can nail the sale. I had a 90% closing rate with zero formal sales training and someone who doesn't like sales. So if I can do it with that same perspective, I get it. Everybody who's stepped into a business never thought that, sales and marketing was going to be part of it. What? Can't I just do the business? And you know really quickly.
You can build it, but you've got to go out there so they will come.
Yeah, and you have to be able to talk about it and say, okay, here's the contract, press hard, make 3 copies, which is hard for most people, especially if you're like in the people quadrant, right? You're like, oh, I just want to talk to the people, and they'll just, give me money.
So,
not always. You have to be able to know. So
yeah, wonderful. Well, I'm going to go check it out for sure. I'm in continuous learning mode. I'm going to learn from cradle to grave. I don't even know when that's going to be. So I love learning new stuff. So check it out. I'm going to encourage everybody else to get on there to www.jennifermaxwell.ca/nail the sale. Get going on those videos.
Yeah, it's fun.
What do you envision for it? Like you said, it's just a beta now, and you've got 30 videos. Do you want to have was it going to be like a whole course, or what do you envision it to?
Yes, it is. It's almost a complete course right now, but like everything, there's more iterations coming. Oh, I should include this, and it's really just designed initially right now. Let's just get what the clues are, and then on top of that, now there's a number of videos that also talks about how to actually implement it. And then we're going to also talk about how to manage your meetings. For example, I just grabbed my binder here. So when I was doing wedding planning, I would always bring a binder. So there's things I talk about are like, what's in your toolkit. So if you are not naturally a high C personality and you have a client showing up, you better be prepared with your facts and figures. So this is, my folder, and I would just say, so this is what your day is going to look like. And then there's this, and they're like, they have like beating hearts in their eyes, like, oh my God, she gets me. Look at all the charts. And they're like, yeah. And so I would use the same thing for a D, but Ds don't want to know what's in there. So another great sort of
bottom line, probably.
Well, they want bottom lines, but then you're like, listen, I get that you just want this day to show up. So you're not even looking, like for a C, I'd be like, okay, so at 10 o'clock we would do this, and then we would do this. But for a D, you don't say a word. You just keep flipping and flipping and flipping. And they're like, oh my God, that's far too many details. Don't worry. I've got you. Just sign up. See, you're not even saying a word. I know. So there's a lot of details, but all you have to do is
I've got you. Okay, right? It's for me to worry about. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, totally. So these are the kinds of things that if you just knew how to tailor, don't give details to people who don't want details, and make sure you give enough facts to those who are fact checking. So, but you can only do that if you know who you're talking to, and again, with your mindset, if you are, say you're very nervous, or if you're a D and you have to talk to an S, you can't just say, listen, honey, sign the contract. You will scare them. They'll be like, I'm just going to go to the bathroom, and then they'll never come back. So you have to just know when to temper and when to, encourage the conversation. So it's fun. I love it. I've been doing
Like it. So yeah, I look forward to it. I'm going to check it out. So I just wanted to take this opportunity and say this has been a lot of fun.
it. Has
Thank you so much. This is like, personalities, mindset, all that stuff. I can talk about that forever. So thank you
totally.
very much. Yeah, and we'll keep in touch because I want to find out how it's going, and I'm going to check it out myself so I can give you some feedback too if you need it.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Yes,
I'm
thank you so much.
with this. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have so much fun. It really does provide a lot of energy for me. So thanks for sprucing up my evening. Thank you for the opportunity to come and